Okay, good morning everybody. Welcome to English class. First, I'm gonna do your list. After that, you have to listen and watch a review about unit. And after that, you have to do your test. Cortés. Cortés, ¿sí está? José Luis, no es José Luis, es Juan Felipe. Comanicho. Jaramillo.
Presente, Lice.
Thank you. Malataxi. Malataxi. Nazareno.
Presente.
Icuasi.
And teacher.
Pilataxi. Está ingresando ahorita. Javier Pilataxi. Está ingresando. Y Eric Malataxi también está ingresando. Ya. Pluas.
Presente, Lisa.
Risueño.
Presente, Lisa.
Romero.
Presente, licenciada.
Topón.
Presente, teacher.
Ok. Muy bien. Están todos. Ya Eric. Ya le puse. Eric y Juan Felipe. Juan Felipe Cortés también ya está. Bueno. Okay, let's start. Let me see. Right.
Lizzie and Henry meet on the street.
Tell me. Dígame.
Ya me tomo lista, es que no podía ingresar porque el internet está malo.
¿Usted es Roger?
Sí, teacher.
Sí, ya le puse.
Ya listo.
Sorry. Okay, listen.
Lizzie and Henry meet on the street.
Hi, Henry. It's cold today.
I agree, Lizzie. Luckily, there is no rain. I don't like the rain.
Really? I love rainy days. I like to carry a nice umbrella. You can see rainbows sometimes, too.
I still hate the rain. I prefer dry weather. I'm from California.
Oh? Is it warmer in California than it is here?
The winter is warmer. In summer, it's about the same temperature.
That's nice. It's still warm enough for me here in winter. What's the warmest place on Earth?
There's a place in Ethiopia. It's 35 degrees all year round.
Wow, that's too hot for me. I don't want to live there.
Hello everyone, I'm Mike.
And I am Jeff.
Welcome to the dialogue section of today's unit.
Today's dialogue is about the weather. This is a great topic to discuss because it's something everyone likes to talk about, especially when you have nothing else to talk about or nothing to say.
Absolutely. And in countries where the weather changes a lot, it can be a very important and useful topic of conversation. It's really common to say hello to someone you might have just met maybe, and then start asking about the weather. It's a kind of small talk. For example, I might say to someone, "It's really hot lately, isn't it?" It's something easy for strangers or acquaintances to talk about.
Yeah, that kind of small talk happens all the time. So if you're going to meet English speakers, you have to be able to talk about the weather. So listen up, guys. Actually, since we're talking about the weather, Mike, I wanted to ask you something.
Okay.
I want to know more about the type of weather that you grew up with. You're from Arizona, aren't you?
That's right. Arizona is a beautiful state in America's southwest.
Now, I've heard that Arizona is extremely hot. Is that true?
Well, would you say that the sun is very hot?
I would.
Well, then Arizona is hot also because it's almost the same as the sun. Well, of course, that's a joke, but Arizona is a desert. So yes, it's hot and it's dry.
So Arizona's not located on the sun.
No, Arizona, as I said, is in America on planet Earth, but like the sun, it feels very hot. Again, it's a joke. But it is hot and dry, as I said, and if we describe something as dry, that means it doesn't have much water in it. It's very dry in Las Vegas. It seldom rains. Yes, deserts are always dry. Arizona's in a desert. Las Vegas is also in a desert. And, of course, they're usually hot too.
There you go. So, is Arizona's weather the same as California's? Now, by same, I mean that they are identical. Like, my bag is the same color as Penny's.
Oh.
The color is similar,
Yeah.
or the color might even be identical. Yes, so you could say our bags are both brown.
Oh, okay.
For example, they have the same color, or the two colors are very similar.
That's right. Well, California's weather isn't exactly the same as Arizona's. Arizona is hotter and drier than California. Now, California, as you know from your maps, is right next to the ocean, so that affects the weather quite a bit. However, Arizona and California are next to each other, so the weather is similar, just not the same, but very close.
Very close.
Okay, guys, the weather. In English, we usually use it is when we talk about the weather. Is normally it is plus adjective or it is plus verb with ing. It is plus adjective. A description of the weather is it is sunny today. For example, it's hot and humid today. It's nice day today. It's a nice day. We can also say it is a plus adjective plus day, or morning, afternoon, or night. It's a fine day. It's a windy afternoon. It is plus verb with ing. Equal this type of weather is happening now. It's drizzling outside. It's snowing. It's raining. Take an umbrella. It's raining. When you're learning vocabulary about the weather, it's important to remember that some of the words have a noun form, a verb form, or an adjective form. For example, rain. This is a noun. The game was canceled because of the rain. Rain verb, for example, I think it is going to rain later. Or rainy, it's a rainy day.
Buenos días, profe.
Good morning.
Okay, Mike, that's
Perdón
interesting.
por intentar,
Now,
se
I
me
asked
fue
because
la
in
luz de la
our
casa y no puedo entrar.
Despuésito me dice, por favor, Jofre, porque estamos en la clase y me interrumpe, ¿ya? Despuésito, ya le acepté, ya le voy a poner en la asistencia.
dialogue, Henry says he's from California, and he seems to think that California is warm and dry.
Well, it's true that California and Arizona are both warm and dry, especially the southern part of California. Yeah, neither gets much rain or much snow.
That's interesting. So, it's not rainy in Arizona and it's not rainy in California either?
Well, that's generally true. Of course, if a place is rainy, that means that it rains there. There is a lot of rain falling from the sky on a regular basis. Or if a day is rainy, then it's raining that day. Of course, the weather could change tomorrow. For example, on rainy days, I stay at home. But back to California and Arizona, they're both hot and dry, so of course, they aren't rainy.
That must be nice. You see, I hate the rain. I could never live in a place like Scotland.
Ooh,
okay, yeah.
very rainy.
I think living in Arizona or California would be great because it's not rainy there, so there would be sunny days all the time.
That's true. Well, a lot of rain, of course, isn't so great, and it might be cold and gray. But actually, some people in California wish that they had more rain.
Oh.
Yeah, it's true. They don't have enough water there. So for farmers and people like that, that could be difficult. And in Arizona, well, we definitely wish that it did cool down sometimes.
You don't like that, huh?
A little bit of rain might help occasionally.
You don't dig the excessive heat of Arizona.
It does get a little too hot and a little too dry. But I do know, of course, as you mentioned, Scotland, and there are some places around the world where it rains a lot and everyone hates the rain. However, in Phoenix, Arizona, where I'm from, everyone gets excited when it rains. It's really special. People want to go outside and see the rain because it's so unusual and strange. You know, some people even have parties to celebrate the rain. A rain party is what we call it in Arizona.
Rain parties.
They're big.
Interesting.
Okay, it's interesting, rain parties, because in Arizona doesn't rain too much, or is very difficult that can see that raining in Arizona. You can also use it. It is different tenses. It was cold yesterday. It will be cloudy tomorrow. When you are learning vocabulary about the weather, it's important to remember that some of the words have a noun form, a verb form, or an adjective form. For an example, rain. Rain. The game was cancelled because of the rain. Rain is a verb or a noun. Rain, I think it is going to rain later. Or rainy, if this is an adjective, it is a rainy today. Es un día lluvioso. It pays to learn the different forms of each word and when they are used, nouns and adjectives. Many times when we are talking about the weather, we can add the letter Y to the end of a noun to make it an adjective. Rain, rainy. Rain is a noun. Rainy is an adjective. Sun, sun, noun. Sunny, adjective. Wind, noun. Windy, adjective. Cloud, noun. Cloudy, adjective. Fog, noun. Foggy, adjective. Okay, questions about the weather. People commonly ask about the weather by saying, what's like outside? How's the weather? What's the weather like? What's the temperature? What's the weather forecast? And what's the forecast for tomorrow? Interesting, okay? This is the weather.
Anyways, I guess there are good things and bad things about rain.
Definitely.
I can think of something else that's good about rain. Yes, in the dialogue, Lizzie mentions that rain brings rainbows. Yes, without rain, no rainbows. Now, what are rainbows? Rainbows are the big lines of color in the sky that appear when the sun shines after it rains. There are 7 colors in a rainbow. Now, a saying you'll hear often is, you can't have a rainbow without any rain.
That is a very good point. Rainbows are beautiful. And they're some of my favorite things on Earth. Earth, when I say it like that, means the world, as in we live on Earth. It's the planet that we live on.
Rainbows. I love them. Rainbows really are amazing.
Now, I wonder what you think about snow. Now, I think rain can be good, sure, but there's nothing good about snow. Luckily, there is no snow in Arizona, where I'm from. Now, luckily in that sentence means thankfully, like, luckily our house is safe from the typhoon. Yeah, I think snow looks terrible, and it's cold.
Mike, have you ever experienced snow? Because I know you're from a dry and arid place like Arizona, and not a cold place like Canada.
No, I'm definitely from Arizona, so no. But being from Arizona, I hate the cold. And the snow, whenever I see it on television, it seems to cause all sorts of problems for people.
Yeah.
It makes it hard to walk around or drive. It can be very dangerous. And of course, since it's cold, it means you have to wear a lot of extra clothing, like heavy jackets, scarves, gloves, all that stuff.
That's true, Mike. But you can also play in the snow. You can build snowmen or go ice skating. That's what people in Canada do.
Do they?
That's what people in Canada do.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I should read a book. I know, but I still prefer warm weather. Now, when I say prefer, I mean that I like it better. For example, I prefer London to New York. London is more fun. I like New York, but which one do I like more or prefer? I prefer London.
Okay, cold stuff. Blizzard, severe snowstorm with strong winds, frost, a layer of small ice crystal that forms on the ground or other surfaces when the temperature is cold, hail when frozen rain falls as a small balls of ice, hailstone, frost of a small ice crystal. Frost son pequeños cristales de hielo, muy pequeños. Snow es cuando está nevando. Snow, frozen rain that from the sky as soft snowflakes. ¿Ya? Son pequeños, son los copos de nieve, son los pequeñitos. Snowflake and individual pieces of snow. A ver, dígame, ¿alguien me estaba diciendo algo? No? Okay, frozen rain that falls the sky as soft snowflakes. Son pequeñas bolas de nieve. Sleet, snow, or hail mixed with the rain, often with some wind. Sleet son pequeñas bolas de nieve mezcladas con lluvia y con viento, ¿no? Types of wind. Tipos de vientos: breeze, a gentle breeze, gentle wind, often nice or refreshing. Blustery, blowing, strong, gust of wind. Windy, continual wind. Gale, a very strong wind. Hurricane, cyclone, and typhoon, a spiral arrangement of thunderstorm that produce winds and heavy rain. Tenemos la brisa, breeze, gentle wind, es un viento, es un ligero viento. Blustery, blowing strong, gust of wind, ya blustery es un viento un poco más fuerte. Windy, continual wind, es un viento continuo, un poco fuerte. Gale, a very strong wind. Gale, you can find gale in Antarctica because we have in Antarctica 300 kilometers per hour of winds. Gale nosotros podemos encontrar en la Antártica o también en cualquiera de los polos, ¿no? Porque ahí se tienen vientos de 300 kilómetros por hora. Hurricane, cyclone, and typhoon, huracanes, ciclones y tifones. A spiral arrangement of thunderstorm that produce winds and heavy rain. Los huracanes, los ciclones y los tifones son vientos en forma de espiral, ¿sí? De tormentas producidos por vientos y por fuertes lluvias. What's the difference between a hurricane, a typhoon, and cyclone? They are the same thing, just with different names because of the region they are in: Atlantic, Northeast Pacific, a hurricane; Northwest Pacific, a typhoon; Southern Hemisphere, a cyclone. Bien, entonces los huracanes nosotros podemos encontrar en el Atlántico y al norte del Pacífico. También podemos encontrarlos al noroeste del Pacífico, los tifones, a typhoon, Northwest Pacific, en Southern Hemisphere, y en la parte sur del hemisferio, los ciclones. Tornado, strong violent circling winds in a small area, a rapidly revolving column of air. In the United States, the word twister is often used instead of tornado. Es muy a menudo encontrar en Estados Unidos los tornados.
And I think most people around the world, even people from Canada, they prefer warm weather. That's why everyone goes on vacation to warm places like Hawaii and Tahiti, where it's warm and there's no snow.
Well, I guess no one would want to have to deal with snow all year round. After all, that would be really difficult. Just ask the Canadians about that. Anyways, all year round means all year. It means through spring, summer, fall, and winter. For example, the restaurant is open all year round. It doesn't close for a season. It might not even close for a single day all year.
Well, I agree with you on that. And by that I mean I think you're right. You make a good point. I agree with your statement, with what you just said.
Well, it's been nice talking about the weather with you, Mike. Up next, we'll go over the reading section and talk about crazy weather.
Yeah, that's right. There are some places on Earth where the weather is so extreme, I don't think many people would want to live there. We'll take a look at some of these places right after this. See you there.
Okay, and here we have a reading and a grammar.
Hello, I'm Mike. Today's grammar topic is comparatives and superlatives. Haha, two big words, but don't worry. We'll explain what they both mean to you in this part of our show. First, let's talk about comparatives. A comparative is a special form of an adjective that allows you to compare two things, or to put those two things side by side and see what's different and what's the same about them. Let's imagine that there are two animals. Okay, we have a dog and a horse. Well, they're very different, so how can we compare them? Well, we might compare them by talking about how tall they are. For example, the horse is taller than the dog. In this example, we simply take the adjective tall and add er. We now know the horse is more tall or taller than the dog. Okay, so now let's compare places. Let's talk about two of the places we saw in our article. Let's talk about how cold Arizona and Antarctica are. Now, how do we turn the adjective cold into its comparative form? Yes, we simply add er to cold, so it becomes colder. So now we can say Antarctica is colder than Arizona. It sure is.
Okay, comparatives and superlatives. Comparatives we use when we can compare or we want to compare two animals, two persons, two things, or two ideas, or two places also. When you have two, you compare between, you compare both. For example, in this example, Antarctica is colder than Arizona. And here we have an adjective. You have to add er at the end of the adjective, and then you put than. Antarctica is colder than Arizona. Or horse and dog. The horse is taller than dog. Okay? Estamos comparando Antártica y Arizona. Antártica es más frío que Arizona. O también comparamos animales, un perro y un caballo. Estaba diciendo the horse is taller. El caballo es más alto que el perro. The horse is taller than dog. Okay. Next.
For one-syllable adjectives like tall and cold, we use the er form. However, for two ending in y, we need to make a small change. Let's look at one of these. Let's look at the adjective lazy. Now this we need to make a small change. Let's look at adjective
when we have adjective of one syllable, we have to add er only, okay? But if you have adjective that has two syllables or more, you have to do this.
Like tall and cold, we use the ER form. However,
In this, tall or small or big, is bigger than, taller than, colder than, okay?
for two-syllable adjectives ending in Y, we need to make a small change.
In here, we need to make a small change when we have an adjective that has two syllables or more. If ending in Y, you have to change Y to E to IER, okay? You have to add.
Let's look at one of these. Let's look at the adjective lazy. Now, this adjective, of course, has two syllables, lazy, and ends with the letter Y. So what do? Well, we get rid of the Y and add IER, lazier. So if there are two lazy people, we'd say that one person is lazier or more lazy. For example, Tom is lazier than John. Now, what about another adjective that's similar? Pretty. All right, two syllables there, pretty. There are two girls, and they are both pretty. But one is what? Yes, the answer is prettier.
In here, for example, there are two girls and they are both pretty. Ambas son hermosas, but one is prettier, pero una es mucho más hermosa. Okay? This is an example.
Prettier. Good job. Now remember, to turn an adjective into its comparative form, add er. Unless the adjective has two syllables like lazy and pretty, and of course, like those, ends in Y. In that case, delete the Y, get rid of it, and add IER. Okay, so far the adjectives we've been using have been quite short. Tall, cold, lazy, pretty. There are different rules for longer adjectives. Now, if an adjective has three...
When we have adjective has three syllables form, they use more for comparative, and for superlative is most, the most. In comparative, we use more.
Three or more syllables, if it's a longer word like beautiful, terrible, or delicious, when you turn it into a comparative form, do not add ER or IER. It's not beautifuler or deliciouser. That's too strange, sounds like a weird word. Instead, put more in front of the adjective and leave the adjective alone. Okay, let's look at an example here. Beautiful is a long adjective with...
Beautiful is a long adjective, okay? And then you have to put in the beginning more beautiful than. Okay, Jenny is more beautiful than Amy, for example. Okay?
Three syllables, beautiful. So, if there are two beautiful paintings, we say that one is more beautiful than the other, not beautifuler. Again, because beautiful is a longer word with three or more syllables, we need to use the word more, but we don't change the adjective itself. So, for example, that sentence would be, these paintings are more beautiful than mine. Now, what about the adjective expensive? All right, it's a longer adjective, right? Three or more syllables, expensive. Now, there are two expensive shirts, but one is, that's right, more expensive. As in, his shirt is more expensive than hers. So now we know how to change the adjectives to compare the two things. But what about the form of the full sentence? To make a sentence with comparatives, like we've just learned, we use the following simple form. Noun plus verb plus comparative adjective plus then plus noun. Okay, these are all the rules for comparatives. Now, let's talk about a slightly different type of word, a superlative. Now, while the comparative helps you compare two things, the superlative helps you compare three or more things to say which one is in the upper or lower limit of quality.
Okay, in here we have superlative helps you compare three or more things. El superlativo nos ayuda a comparar dos o más cosas. Pueden ser cosas, animales, personas, ideas, pero dos o más. El comparativo nos ayudaba a comparar solamente dos, entre dos. Aquí nosotros vamos a ver cuál es el más entre el más grande, el más pequeño, el más hermoso, el más caro, el más barato, entre tres o más, ¿sí? Entonces aquí cambia un poco la estructura. Okay, a superlative helps you compare three or more things to say which one is the up here or lower limit of quality.
For example, Jack is the tallest person in our class.
Jack is the tallest person in our class. Jack es de la persona más alta en nuestra clase. Fíjese, nosotros tenemos que poner de, luego ponemos el adjetivo terminado en EST, ya no le ponemos ER porque este es el superlativo, solo en el comparativo le ponemos ER. Acá en cambio es the tallest, el más alto, o la persona más alta en nuestra clase, the tallest person.
By this we mean there are many tall people, but Jack is the one who is the most tall. He's the number one tallest person in the class. If you want to turn a short adjective into a superlative form, instead of using the ending ER, like we did with the comparatives, use the ending EST.
Entonces, en el superlativo, en lugar de usar ER como lo hacemos en el comparativo, usted tiene que usar EST, ¿ya? You have to use in the ending EST.
Now look at the short adjective, strong. There are three strong people, and one is stronger than the other two. So,
si compararíamos para dos personas, ¿sí? O dos objetos o dos animales, si hacemos la comparación solamente entre dos, ponemos stronger than, ¿sí? So she is the strongest, is the superlative, ¿ya? Stronger es para comparativo, pero si nosotros decimos acá, the strongest es el superlativo.
she is the strongest. Strong plus EST. Let's try another example. There are three fat pigs. Fat is our adjective. It's a nice short word. So one pig, of course, is fatter than the other two. So that
aquí se está utilizando el adjetivo fat, ¿sí? Para comparar entre dos. Aquí estamos comparando cerditos, ¿no? One pig is fatter than the others, ¿ya? So that pig is the... Uno debe ser el más gordo, ¿verdad? Entonces tenemos que ponerle en superlativo. Sería...
That pig is the... That's right, the fattest.
That pig is the fattest. Ese cerdito es el más gordo. Ese cerdo es el más gordo. The fattest.
F-A-T-T-E-S-T. For two-syllable adjectives that end with Y, like we looked at earlier, lazy and pretty, words like that, well, in this case, we do the same thing. We get rid of that letter Y, but this time we add I-E-S-T, not I-E-R like before. So lazy becomes laziest.
When we have adjectives that ending with Y, we have to change with IEST in superlative. Not that the comparative is IER. In superlative is IEST. You have to change Y to I. Entonces, cuando nosotros tenemos adjetivos que tienen dos sílabas y terminan en Y, le vamos a cambiar la Y por la I y luego le aumentamos EST. Como en el anterior, en el comparativo, nosotros le cambiábamos la Y por la I, pero le aumentábamos ER. En este caso, que es el superlativo, le cambiamos por la I, la Y le aumentamos EST.
And Larry is the laziest person I know. And yes, pretty would become prettiest. Now remember, for one-syllable words such as tall, strong, fat, short, cold, that kind of thing, we use this very simple form. Noun plus the verb plus the word the plus the superlative adjective plus the noun. Let's try another example. If there are 3 easy tests, one is that's right, is a longer one and has 3.
Okay, when we have adjectives with 3 syllables, we say that longer adjective, and it has 3 or more syllables, longer adjective. You use the most, and after that, the adjective. For example, the most beautiful girl.
3 or more syllables, like beautiful or expensive that we looked at earlier.
Entonces, cuando nosotros tenemos adjetivos de 3 sílabas o más, nosotros ya no vamos a aumentarle la EST, ya no. Ahora lo que vamos a hacer es le vamos a poner the most y luego el adjetivo.
Instead of using more, we say most, but the word, again, doesn't change. So among 3 paintings, one is the most beautiful or the most expensive. Here's a final example.
For example, so among 3 paintings, sobre 3, la cantidad, ¿no? De 3 pinturas, one is the most beautiful, expensive. Aquí tenemos 2. Puede ser, ¿cuál es la más hermosa o cuál es la más cara? One is the most beautiful or one is the most expensive. Okay?
If there are 3 chairs and they're all comfortable chairs,
If there are 3 chairs and they are all comfortable chairs,
you might want to know which one of those chairs is the most comfortable. That's right. Compare the 3 chairs. Which one is the most comfortable? Sit down, try them out.
Ok. Dígame, Anthony.
Teacher, estoy teniendo problemas con la plataforma de la ABC.
¿Qué le pasó?
No sé, pero lo que estoy ingresando después me parece el mismo Register Student Only. Después de eso ya yo me había ingresado de nuevo con el correo y todo, y después a lo que ya pongo el código del final. Yo pongo OK, y después de eso me regresa al final, al principio, y me dice que ingrese de nuevo al correo, y así.
Puede ser que no sé, usted tenga problemas de conexión, ahí sí que no tengo idea, pero ya vamos a ver. A ver, chicos, entonces van a ingresar a la plataforma de Maya y van a encontrar la prueba. Ya está la prueba creada, ¿sí? Y van a realizar, dice Test Evaluation, ¿sí? Y van a realizar la pruebita, ¿listo? Entonces yo hago el control de sus ingresos. Tiene chance de ingresar, el momento en el que usted ingresa, tiene media hora para realizarla, ¿sí? Entonces ingresa a la de Maya y ahí usted va a encontrar Test Evaluation, para ustedes Evaluation Test, ¿sí? Blue Skies. Ahí entra, ¿sí? Y va a realizar la prueba. Tiene media hora. Las personas que por A o B no puedan ingresar tienen hasta las 11 de la noche para realizar la prueba, pero por favor tiene que hacerla en media hora, ¿ok? Entonces
no
ingresa.
sale nada en la plataforma.
Sí,